In today's video, let's talk about how to reschedule appointments or events or meetings in English. Let's start by listening to some examples of how we can ask people to reschedule in the most polite and native sounding ways possible. Would it be possible to push our meeting back by a couple of hours, please? Would it be possible to push our meeting back by a couple of hours, please? Is there any chance we can move up our appointment by a day or two? Is there any chance we can move up our appointment by a day or two? Some things come up, and I was wondering if you'd mind postponing our next session until next month. Something has come up, and I was wondering if you'd mind postponing our next session until next month. Okay, so those examples, as always, contained a mix of informal and formal language. So let's get started with two informal phrases that mean the opposite of each other. And these are to move up and to push back. So, can you guess which of these means to move an event to an earlier time and which means to move an event to a later time? Personally, I think that the clearest one here is to push back. To push back means to move an event to a later date or time. Therefore, to move up means to move an event to an earlier date or time. You can also use move forward to mean the same thing, if that's a little clearer for you. However, even if you don't use the phrase move up, it's still really useful to know if you're working with native English speakers, because we use vocabulary like this all the time. In the final example there, we had the word postpone. This is a word that comes to English from Latin. It's a combination of the Latin words for to place or to put something somewhere and post, meaning after. Maybe you've heard the word post used in things like a postgraduate course, meaning a course of study taken after you've graduated. We use this to talk about things like master's degrees and PhDs. So, to postpone something literally means to place it at a later time or date. We also had a couple of great, slightly formal, but very polite ways to ask a question. Starting in our first example with, would it be possible to? And then in the second example, is there any chance? Both of these are really polite ways to ask something for a favor. For instance, rescheduling. However, starting with would it be possible is usually the most polite way to do this. And if you've been pushing back your time to work on your English, then don't forget that my full-time job is helping international professionals who use English at work to improve their communication skills. So, if you need English to do your job, but you don't speak it natively, then maybe we can work together to help you to achieve your language goals. If you'd like to book some time to meet with me through one-to-one video calls, just you and me, then you can go to breakoutbusinessenglish.com. That's the title of the YouTube channel and the podcast, and find out more. I've worked with over 1,000 non-native English-speaking professionals, from new graduates up to CEOs and government leaders, to help them to achieve their goals, and I look forward to meeting you. These ideas, this vocabulary is taken from the most recent episode of the Breakout Business English podcast. Actually, last week's episode. I release a podcast every week. So last week's episode was about rescheduling and times, how to talk about time at work. This was about 33% of the episode, about a third. So if you'd like to hear the rest of these ideas, then you can look up the Breakout Business English podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. It's also right here on YouTube, and you can listen to the other 2/3 of the show. If you are interested in how to reschedule events, then maybe you're also interested in getting better at saying no at work, getting better at saying no to your colleagues and your managers. If that's something that's interesting to you, then I have a video all about that I'll put up here, and I will see you next time.